Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Unfortunately, this one is going to be a little bit more negative, a lot more negative than most of the videos that you see on this channel. And trust me, the irony is not lost on me with the title that I have chosen. But in today's video, we are just going to be talking about some things in the Smash scene that I've been seeing a lot recently that I just am not a big fan of. I just have a really big issue with, and let's just get right into it. And the first thing that we should talk about is Steve. As much as I hate repeating myself, this is something that has absolutely had an effect on the community. It'd be very weird to make a video like this and just not address him. But I believe that Steve has finally hit a turning point where you are now able to competitively justify a ban for this character. I think if you were trying to get this character banned 2021, 2022, 2023, even the early parts of 2024, it was really just character hate. Like, yeah, he was clearly the best character in the game, but his results were nowhere near close to justify a ban, and there needs to be a best character in the game. If it wasn't Steve, it would have been Sonic, and Sonic would have clearly been the best character in the game. So I don't think Steve's results were really ever at the point where they justified a ban. Up until now, personally, I still would never advocate for a ban of the character. I just really am against banning characters for the most part, unless they get to like actually Brawl Meta Knight levels. I just want to see the highest level of competition, and Steve is the highest level of competition that the game has to offer, just objectively the stuff that that character can do. But he's very over-centralizing right now, even if it's not necessarily in the top 8s, in the top 120s. Absolutely, his character is a problem. So it kind of reopens that discussion, but not really, of if Steve is going to get banned, because I think at this point Steve is not going to get banned, just because the Japanese scene uses him so heavily, and a lot of their players are very prevalent with Steve, even just as a secondary that is just really important to top level Japanese Smash. That just completely banning that character wouldn't really make any sense. It would really ruin the competitive integrity of the game over there, even if the character is over-centralizing. Just taking away secondaries from half the top players and then mains from a lot of the new rising talent, I think would be a little bit unfortunate. But the main point that I'm trying to make here is I think that this is a discussion that you should be having right now. This is the time where it's mattered most to have this discussion, because as the Steve ban players, the results are actually on your side now. You actually have a decent argument. But when you are having this discussion, I think it's really, really important that it stays about Steve. And that is something that I think this community has had a really, really big issue with. Always, this community's had a really big issue with, but especially in more recent years with Steve, is anytime a Steve player does anything, they could be established, they could be a new, it could be a secondary, they just get immediately completely discredited because the character is very strong. And the character is very strong. I'm not going to argue on that. But when your rising talent is getting new wins, even if it's with the best character in the game, you should not be shutting these people down. You should not be trying to like stop these new talents from being the best that they can be. These are the people that are going to be leading us into Smash 6, and people on Twitter are just constantly shitting on them for just playing the game. And I think it's really important to remember that Smash Ultimate is like 6 years old at this point. This game has had a long course of competitive integrity, and there's also kind of two eras of Smash Ultimate. There is the post-quarantine era, and there is the pre-quarantine era. And the majority of pre-quarantine top players just aren't even top players anymore. It's not even like they got washed. They just don't even play Smash Ultimate. You have a lot of new faces populating the top part of the scene. And the picture that I'm trying to paint for you here is you have a lot of new faces entering the scene constantly with Smash Ultimate. Who do you think these new faces are going to pick up? This game is 6 years old. Who are they going to pick up? They're going to pick up the best character in the game. They're going to pick up Steve. This is a character that has a very high learning curve, but also a very low skill ceiling. So he is the easiest character for new people to pick up and for new rising talent to pick up. So I need you to understand that when you see a new Steve player get an upset on someone, this is not your moment to shit on the Steve player. If you want to shit on Steve, I guess that's fine. You know, let's make this moment about you and talk about how much you don't like this character. Whatever, you can do that. But can we please just not talk about, oh, this guy's so cared, oh, this guy is no talent, because I don't give a shit. These are the people that are your talent for the next game. Even if they're not your talent, these are just the people that are going to be playing the next part of Smash Ultimate, and they can't get it fucking upset anymore because the character that they're playing is more defining than the talent they have. It's just so upsetting. People cannot see past the character. Like, all they see is hate. Again, it's mainly a problem with Steve. It happens with a couple other characters too, but it's most exemplified with Steve. So when I see a new Steve player on Twitter get a win, what I want you to do now, if you're really angry about that, is maybe just make a tweet about Steve. But don't make a fucking tweet about that player. Please stop dragging our new talent through the mud. Let people get upset. Let people be happy about their wins. Yeah, they used a better character. It's a competitive game. It's a fucking choice at the loading screen. Got a little bit heated there, but the point that I'm really trying to get home here is that people need to separate the players and the character. It is so damaging for the community to see a Steve player get an upset, and there's like a million quote retweets like, this guy never would be able to do it with any other character. This is killing the game. I can't believe so-and-so's washed now. Like, it's just so disheartening. You guys can still complain about Steve all you want, and there's going to be like a million people echo chambering up, complaining with you. And also, as I said a little bit earlier in the video, I think this is the best time in Smash Ultimate to actually advocate for a Steve ban. You are going to be justified in your conversations when you are doing so. So if you want to reopen these discussions, I think that's fine. But disconnect it from the players. It is just such a horrible look on not only you, but also the community whenever you see a new player winning, that they are just constantly being shit on because of the character that they play. So that is all I ask. If you want to hate on Steve, that's fine. Just don't hate on the players. The next thing that I want to talk about is going to be Europe's general attitude towards the lumirank. And I have to preface this by saying that I don't hate you if you're European. I'm going to be very angry in this segment talking about Europeans, though. So please don't take it personally. This has just been a long time coming, because I think the European scene truly does not understand how privileged they are. And I mean privilege. Let's look at the entirety of Smash Bros. In the world. You have the US scene, which is probably like this big. We'll say it's like this big. You have the Japanese scene, which is like probably like this big at this point. Then you have the European scene. Now, I'd say the European scene, let's say this is a US one, and I kind of forgot the reference. Let's say the European scene it's looking like that. It's decent, definitely smaller than the US and Japan, but it's decent. And then you have, I'd say, Mexico and Canada. And Mexico and Canada, they're like this, I'd say. You got our couple majors a year, but outside of those like one or two big events, it's nothing really. And then here is the rest of the world. Does that make a little bit of sense of what I'm trying to say here? And really quickly, before I hear any people in the comments talking about how certain parts of Europe have more opportunities than the others, yes, I am absolutely aware of that, but unfortunately, that's just how the world works. Like, you think everyone in America from like Wyoming or North Dakota has the same opportunities as people in New York or Georgia for Smash? No, it's just not how those things work. Same thing with France and Germany. You're going to have a lot better chance to be a higher level Smash player if you happen to be born in those regions versus somewhere like Belarus or Moldova. And somewhere like Japan is the best region of the world for a multitude of reasons, but one of the really big ones is because they are so condensed as a region that it's really easy for them to mix top talent and raise the average level of play in their scene. And I will say, I think of all of the major regions in the world, it definitely hurts Europe the most because there's actual borders between their regions. But to pretend like everyone in the US just has like access to all the competitive Smash that they want, and because you're in Europe you don't, is I think really, really disingenuous and hurts the argument. And again, this is within the context of the lumirank top 150. So you're really only looking at 2 or 3 players from a majority of these countries. I'm not saying if you're someone from Bulgaria, you should just like stop complaining, because you know the French have a pretty good Smash scene over there, and you are part of the same continent as them. Obviously, that sucks. But when we are talking about the super high level, the best of the best, I think saying that the lumirank is kind of like twisting narratives to make it so that Europe doesn't have as big of an advantage as they could is just so disingenuous. Because the reason that Europe is called Europe as a region of Smash Ultimate is because when the game first came out, you could not hold a major in Europe just with one country or even 2 countries. You had to have all of Europe's talent actually come together, a couple invaders from across the pond usually as well, in order for an event to actually be considered a major. In the current point of Europe, I feel like France is kind of just the hub for Smash Ultimate. Like, you could low-key say that, like, France is now a major region instead of Europe, and then people just come to France to compete, because that's, like, where all of their majors are being held. They have a ton of really high-level talent. I'd say the best 3 players in Europe are all going to be from France. So, France, very good. They're going to be acting as the hub for Europe right now. And please don't take this as me saying that, guys, Europe actually has a lot of representation. They're doing fine. You just need to go to France. No, that's not what I'm saying. They are definitely underrepresented as a region. They've only had 3 B+ tiers and onwards this year, or at least in the second half of the year, all in different countries. Everywhere else is going to be in America and Japan. And if you look at the B tiers as well, you're going to have pretty much the same thing. You do have China and Mexico sneaking in there a little bit more, but very few European events, mainly dominated by Japan and America. So you might be a little bit confused on why I'm showing this, because it just feels like Europe is very vastly underrepresented here. But then I ask you, okay, what about everywhere else? You have Japan and America making up majors. You have the UK and France getting a major, and no one else. No one else got a major, but Europe got 2 majors. So it sounds like they're actually doing pretty good relative to the rest of the world. A couple B tier and B plus tier events as well. And that is what Europeans do not understand. That's very aggressive. European Smash players do not understand is that people like in South America, in Australia, in India just have nothing. They have no representation, even if they're trying to get these events going. They just cannot get these events to even a tier on the lumirank. So that is going to be people that are actually underrepresented. France isn't underrepresented. Europe isn't underrepresented. They're very represented right now. They're just not as good as people think they are. Like, Europe is really good. They've been the best they've ever been. But America and Japan are still way better. And I think people have kind of lost the plot there because some of the top European talent has actually gotten so close to that, like top NA, top Japan talent, like Crepsole, Rafflo, Glutony, Tarek, Bloom Forever, I think is pretty close. I think Flo and Lancelot are honestly kind of cooking recently. There's definitely someone that Siski, that's the guy that's forgetting. Those people are very good. They're towards that top talent. They can clash with the best of the best, but the average talent in Europe does not clash with the average talent in Japan, or does not clash with the average talent in America. You look at the last European major, GSM in France, the best part of Europe, you had Lima winning it and a K-Rule player from Japan getting into the top 8. So Europe, you guys are not underrepresented. You are in fact very represented, more so than almost everywhere else in the world. But America and Japan are just still really good at this game. They are still the top dogs. You guys are going to have your time in the sun, but it's going to be a slow grind. You're not going to get there immediately. So if you're a European player and before you go on Twitter complaining about the lumirank, just take a second to think that you guys, as a region, again, generalizing Europe here, are kind of lucky. And also, before I get comments about it, I am not an American, I am Canadian, and I'm in Alberta, and we've, like, never had an event that's over a B tier. If you want to go to a major in Canada, you go to the fucking island, or you go to the New York City, and that's all you got. The next thing that I want to talk about is the conversation around Smash Ultimate content, because after the disappearance of PG Stats, there was definitely a void left behind, because they were the main channel for competitive Smash Ultimate, and they also had Wadi, Mars, and Easthead probably being like the main, honestly, players for Smash Ultimate that were getting people to click on YouTube videos, at least for competitive Smash Ultimate. So they had a really big, good brand thing going there, and it kind of disappeared. And you do have LG filling that gap, and I actually think LG is doing a pretty good job filling that gap right now, so huge shout outs to them for replacing that. But there was one left with content, and people are always complaining about there's nothing to watch on YouTube, nothing fills that niche. Guys, make content. It's really easy. Trust me, you've watched my videos. You know it isn't that hard to do. If you want to see a video, just make it. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And also, can we, like, stop pretending there's no good Smash creators? Like, that is actually just such a disingenuous thing to say. I got to shout out FGC University. I really like the theory stuff that they make. Easy Freezy. I love the competitive recaps that he does. He has one on Smash 4 as well recently. I think Fire the Pyro is probably the main guy right now for Smash Ultimate. He's absolutely been killing it. I think Derivative as well, or not Derivative, the Brawlternative, he's pretty good as well. He's not Smash Brothers Ultimate, but still Smash Brothers content in that same vein. So yeah, it exists. You just need to, like, actually look a little bit, but also make some content, guys. It's not that hard to do. It's very fun. It's really rewarding, and it helps the scene. So if you want to see content, make it. Stop complaining. And really quickly, before we do wrap things up, I do want to mention something about the Rivals 2 community. Now, it's not as bad as it was when the game first came out, but this community has a major gatekeeping issue, which is so crazy to me, because you think Rivals 2 would be like the last game that should be like the game that is bringing everyone together, but for some reason some of these Rivals 1 players are like, I don't want these melee, especially Ultimate players, it's definitely mainly Ultimate players, but I don't want these melee players, these PM players, these ult players coming to the game just spamming in the neutral, don't have any of the fundamentals down. Like, guys, let people enjoy your new game. Stop trying to scare them away. What are you doing? Do you not want this thing to succeed? The Rivals community is so negative. And also, the second a patch drops, half of the community is like, I'm dropping the game. I can't handle it. I cannot believe they made it so Orcane's forward air is 2 frames slower. Why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense. Like, people just need to calm down. It's okay. Trust that Dan Fornace and his team is extremely competent, and they have a long-term goal in mind. Yeah, maybe your character isn't the best for this current patch, but it's okay. They're not going to be like that forever. Just stop being so dramatic and be a little bit more accepting, and your Rivals 2 community will actually probably grow. So those are all the major points that I wanted to cover for today. I just had a couple things that I wanted to get off my chest for honestly quite some time now, and I thought this video was a good way to do it. The Smash Ultimate community is not a community to be proud of. It isn't at all. It is so negative. It eats its own tail. You hate the game. They hate the players. They hate everyone. It just fucking sucks. And I don't think it should. I think it should be changed. And I hope going into the next Smash game, I hope going into the Rivals 2, everyone that is in that community, everyone is just more positive, has faith in the game, wants the game, and the players who are actually playing it to succeed as well. If you are actively shitting on new competition, even old competition that is just finding success, you do not want Smash Ultimate to succeed. You just care about your engagements. And yeah, that's all I really have to say. Be more positive, and the scene will absolutely benefit. And yeah, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.